some of the most lukewarm drama has happened over the last couple of weeks, and it's devolved into this just toxic slop, this big ball of negative energy, and I don't really understand it at all. So within the last couple of weeks, Charlie had made a video on the Ava Chris Tyson situation, as literally every single content creator did, which got him a lot of backlash. One, before he even posted his video, people were giving him shit for not coming out with a video fast enough, but then after he covered it, he was getting flamed for covering it only because people were giving him shit for not covering it in the first place. And then because Sneako was a big part of that shit talking.
Yo, look out, Moist Critical is not gonna go talk about the Chris situation because he wants to have the Mr. Beast collab. The associate of the biggest YouTube channel in the world, you do a 4-minute clip on your second channel. Stop coping and be a journalist if you're gonna be a journalist, or just say that you wanna have the collab. Stop lying.
Charlie had actually responded to Sneako and included it in the Ava Chris Tyson video that he had made, calling him out for some insane views on the age of consent.
Age of consent should be maturity. It's not even 18 in most states. Why do you even believe that? It's because in Hollywood, it's 18, so that gets pushed everywhere. Most places, 16. And if you question that, then they call you a pedo. I believe the age of consent is the age of maturity. It should be called the age of marriage. Age of consent implies that you're gonna have out of wedlock. I think it's better that people get married at 16, 17 than to have a bunch of premarital until they're 30 and they're washed up and then they get jaded and they're on birth control and they have dried up eggs. I think that's better for society.
So naturally, people started flaming Charlie once more for making the video more about Sneako than Ava. It's just crazy to see people come up with these crazy conclusions and shoving this narrative into your face that is just literally not confirmed at all. But anyways, Sneako and Charlie then had a little bit of a debate over a Discord call. However, Charlie came out with a response video sort of explaining the situation, and he wasn't even really aware that it was a debate until he was like balls deep into the debate.
I had no idea this was going to be a debate. I thought he was going to try and explain himself like, hey, no, this isn't actually what I meant. This is what I'm trying to say. Not this kind of debate show that he was putting on for his audience. There is nothing in our DMs that indicated that's where it was going. When I joined the call, he asked if I was going to record it, to which I said, I can if he wants me to, but I was also down to just talk. I didn't know it was because it was being streamed, especially because one of his last DMs was about how he's doing an outside IRL stream and he would call me after. To me, that says when he's done streaming, that's when we'll talk, not as a part of his stream. I didn't know this was a debate nor a stream until about an hour and 40 into it, roughly somewhere in that ballpark.
This debate, like in my opinion, all debates, was just this awful toxic slop of two dudes bickering and viewers handing out points to whoever says their opinion more confidently. I hate that. I've always been a strong proponent of having productive conversations with people over having a debate or arguing and just like in general hearing somebody out. So anyways, this debate, it was about the age of consent, and from Charlie's point of view, he was trying to understand what Sneako really meant by the age of maturity, and that being when people should be allowed to marry, which is just insane statements all around.
So why can't a 12-year-old marry an 18-year-old?
Because most 12-year-olds haven't gone through puberty yet. And most 12-year-olds...
What if, as you just said, it changes. What if a 12-year-old went through puberty early, the parents consent, the 18-year-old and the parents consent? Can they do it?
Most likely that's not going to happen. You know why? Because Islamically, if
we're not talking most likely, just say it.
If the families have consented, the kid is mature, the kid is ready. Why should I stop it?
At 12 years old. At 12 years old.
If the kid if the kid is physically mature, the parents consent, both parties are happy.
A 12-year-old being physically mature.
If that's the only line that actually makes sense.
But anyways, of course, because this was a debate, the topic needed to be switched around, and Sneako had brought up the conversation about gender affirming surgery and transitioning and whether or not people are able to consent to that before they're 18. And he was trying to sort of get Charlie in like a gotcha moment, like luring him into a trap with the way he fucking phrased this.
Do you believe that somebody can go through hormone therapy? Can they change their gender if they're a child?
I think that's totally fine as long as everyone is consenting, as you agree with.
Okay, so as long as everyone...
If your parents are okay with it and you are okay with it, I think that's totally a familial decision to make, yeah.
Okay, so a child can cut their penis off and take hormone blockers and change their biology forever, but they can't get married?
Oh, that's a decision that now extends beyond the family, because now you're bringing in a different party. So if you have someone that's your age coming in saying, I want to marry that child... I don't think that can happen under any circumstance.
So, but it's still a personal decision. You're still deciding.
Because there's
take the other party out of the equation. It's a personal
decision.
If I'm 16 and I personally want to marry this girl, she's beautiful. She's 21 years old. Her family wants to do it. My family wants to do it. You're saying I can't do that. We're both consenting. I'm ready to go. I'm physically mature, but I'm not allowed to marry because Moy says that woman's a pedophile. But if then the next day I leave it, I'm depressed, I want to cut my penis off, I can go right into the clinic, snip it off, and start taking HRT like Chris Tyson. That's a society that makes sense to you?
It is. I believe everyone has I believe everyone has the right to do with their body what they want to do.
Okay.
Not only do I believe that this was fucking ridiculous to bring up, like it was not related at all to what they were talking about, and I don't think that either situation is comparable, but because of the way that Sneako phrased it, it kind of made it sound like it was. In my opinion, it was just really deceptive. Who the fuck believes that a 9-year-old day of just make a decision that they want gender affirming surgery and then just receive it? That's just not how that works. It's never fucking worked like that. To have been asked that question just kind of shows me how far gone like Sneako and his fan base is. But of course, Charlie fell for his question and answered it the way Sneako wanted him to answer it. And I think that what bothered me the most from that debate wasn't how gross the whole thing was from Sneako's perspective, but that a ton of fucking YouTubers on like practically the whole internet turned around and was like, ooh, Charlie, you fucking fell off, bro. Big L for you. In my opinion, Charlie could have phrased that better. But again, he wasn't really prepared to have a debate with Sneako, and I think Sneako kind of knew that. On top of that, I don't think that people articulate themselves the best when they're in a debate, especially when they're being asked questions like that are kind of just, a 9-year-old told me about their penis. And yeah, I think that question was like kind of obviously deceptive. After that, of course, Voice Critical received some backlash for his statements. He made some responses trying to sort of rephrase what he meant, saying that he didn't know Sneako was asking it in the literal sense, but like, honestly, if you're having a debate with Sneako, take anything he says literally. I don't know, I feel like he's just not grounded in reality.
And this is what most people have focused on, which was my response to his question about kids transitioning. And the way he would pose that question would be by asking if I thought it was okay if kids who want to switch their gender go to the doctor and get their dick cut off. And when posed with that question, I replied with yes. And I've talked about this on stream many times now, and I'll talk about it again here. I thought he was talking in hyperbole. I thought he was just exaggerating, being over the top, talking about the entire subject of transitioning. I had no idea that any living, breathing human being actually thought that that's how transitioning works, where you just go into a doctor saying, I feel like switching genders, and they lay you down on the operating table and just snip your whole fucking meat off. Because you literally cannot get that surgery unless you are 18. Like, you actually have to go out of your way to be that stupid on the topic than you would just spending a couple of seconds looking it up.
A statement also came out afterwards saying that Charlie was stepping away from a podcast he's been working on for almost 8 years now. And a lot of people, again, immediately just jumped to conclusions and said that he was quitting the internet, which I find it baffling that people can come up with conclusions without even hearing or understanding the full picture. Like, people read one thing and just stick to it. There's never any fact checking or research. Not that this necessarily applies, but reading a tweet that someone said that's like popular and then just believing it, rather than reading a tweet that someone said and then going, oh, that's interesting, like questioning it, or even just being patient enough to wait for a full response. I don't know, it seems like this whole narrative and story was built before Charlie was even given a chance to really explain himself, if that makes any sense. It's upsetting. And just the fact that Sneako was trying to compare a 16-year-old or even younger, I think in the debate they were talking about like 12-year-olds at one point, marrying someone consensually to a 20-year-old, and then comparing that to someone who wants to have gender affirming surgery and the process of transitioning, just absolutely baffling. Like, it blows my mind. And to me, it just shows how, I guess, ignorant or maybe bandwagon-y, jump to conclusion-y the internet is. Like, not that I have to break it all down, but transitioning is a crazy long process. It takes years. There's therapy, there's consulting doctors, there's talking to family members, there's identifying oneself and learning about oneself. It's not a decision that is made by others or forced upon you like how marriage could be. Like, something I haven't really heard people say, and, you know, maybe this is a dog-ass opinion, but in my head, someone who is 15, 16, and is getting married to a 20-year-old, there's a lot more implications to that than just, like, love, if that makes sense. There's multiple parties involved. People who are older tend to have the ability to take advantage and manipulate younger people. You know, no one's pressuring a kid to be trans like how someone could be pressured into marriage. You are just trans. You just identify that within yourself. Go through that process yourself. Like, it's a one-party sort of thing. It's not two people, one's 15 and one's 21. It just seems like people are spinning these stories to create captivating titles for views than actually considering what's being said and trying to understand it and listen. And it's just a super toxic cycle of negativity that upsets me. It bothers me. I don't really think it's healthy for anyone to involve themselves in such a negative part of the internet. So I respect Charlie for trying to, like, step away from some of those parts of the internet. Even just me, who's made maybe 2 videos on dramas, has gotten such a headache from hearing all this shit that people are saying. However, of course, I love having conversations and getting to know people's thoughts and opinions on things. I do genuinely love listening and talking to people, especially about stuff that interests me, which is kind of what a lot of my videos are about. And so if you guys have anything at all to say about this situation, either whether or not you think it's gross or you think Charlie's fucking stupid, let me know, because I genuinely do love just hearing people out. I think not enough people do it. And I think if there's anything to take away from this video, it's just be more patient and more understanding. That's the whole reason Charlie had this debate with Sneako in the first place, because he thought he could have a conversation with him, and then the internet decided to not listen. I don't know. I hope y'all support trans people, man. Shit's concerning a little bit. How far gone certain people are about issues like this. Like, why do you care so much?